Hey guys, so I'm going to show you today another article on Readworks. So I'm gonna start showing you my screen, and then we're gonna bounce over there again. Okay. Okay, so this is your login screen. Okay, student login. You can either, I think, I'm not, I don't actually know how this works for you guys, to be honest. So you can log in with Google, which should work if you were logged into your Google account. You can also use our class code GYBGX2. GYBGX2. Okay. I am Josh Crocker today and every day. This is my class. And then today I'm looking for strangler figs, okay? Strangler, like as in a person or a thing that strangles. Sounds scary, right? So here we have another article. Okay, I guess that's a strangler fig. I'm not sure. Okay, so we're going to read this and then we'll talk about the questions, and we're also going to talk about main idea and details. So as we're going through here, just ask yourself, what is this mostly about? Okay, here we go. Strangler figs. If plants starred in movies, the strangler fig would be the main character in a horror film. Yeah, they sound scary. The strangler fig is known in Spanish as matapalo, the killer tree. Ooh. It can be found in rainforests and other humid environments all over the world. Okay, humid means lots of moisture in the air, so like a wet place. It has an unusual and interesting way of growing because it is an epiphyte. Epiphyte. An epiphyte is an air plant that grows on the surface of another plant. So I guess we're talking about this stuff that's on the surface of the tree. This epiphyte can grow figs, which are like fruit, kind of like a plum, that many species of birds enjoy. Once birds eat the figs of the epiphyte, they clean their bills and drop fig seeds on high tree branches. Strangler fig seeds then germinate in the rainforest canopy where there is plenty of sunlight. So germinate must mean grow, sprout, right? Because I know that sunlight makes plants grow. As a strangler fig seed matures, it begins sending down long roots to the forest ground. That's weird. Most plants start with a root. This plant starts way up and then grows down. Once the roots reach the ground and enter the soil, they weave together and slowly wrap around their host tree. The host tree must now compete with the strangler fig for sunlight and nutrients in the soil. Usually, this process kills the host and only the fig tree is left. The trunk of the fig tree is actually a giant web of roots. These trees are immune from forest clearing humans because loggers do not like their knotted and twisted wood. Yeah, so like it would be hard to make a good straight board out of that plant. So people who cut down trees, they don't like them. According to historians, the strangler fig played a role in destroying Mayan cities in Central America. Seeds dropped by birds and bats germinated high on the walls of buildings. So this can happen not just on trees, but on a building or a house. The roots would force their way between the stone bricks of the walls and would eventually destroy the entire wall. So you've probably seen buildings, like pictures of those ruins, really old buildings that have plants growing all over them. Some of those plants might be strangler figs. Although this killer tree may seem like an enemy, it is also an incredible shelter for a diverse group of animals, such as bats, birds, rodents, reptiles, and amphibians. Its hollow openings provide protection for many of these organisms, animals, living things. At certain points of the year, fig trees are the only trees producing fruit, and they provide necessary nutrients for primates. Those are like apes, monkeys, gorillas, and birds. Although these python-like trees, so they're kind of like a snake, may seem menacing, dangerous, their ability to adapt illustrates how necessary it is for plants to compete successfully in order to survive in the rainforest. Okay, that was interesting. Okay, my face is back. Let's talk about main idea. So, paper, box, main idea. What was that mostly about? I feel like with this one, the main idea was really just the title. Okay. And a lot of times nonfiction will do that to you. Nonfiction will either put the main idea in the first sentence or in the title. Not every time. It didn't do it last time, but sometimes it does. Strangler figs. That's my main idea. It was just the name of that plant. And so then my details, I'm going to go with 4 because I feel like there was quite a bit of information in that article about strangler figs. What were some of the things that we learned that were important? Okay, so I think, so there's my 4 boxes. See that? I'm just going to put details in there, and they need to be details about the strangler figs because that was the main idea. These have to go together. So I think the most important idea was birds spread seeds to other plants or buildings, right? These seeds could land anywhere, wherever a bird stops to eat that fig, right? It wants the fig, it eats the fig. Inside of the fig, like all fruit, there's a seed. The bird doesn't eat the seeds, not all of them, leave some of them there. Birds spread seeds to other plants and buildings. Then what happens? Well, the seeds grow down to the ground. Okay, so the seeds grow down from where that bird drops them to the ground. They get in the ground, and then that plant's sort of like in, right? It's there. It's got its hooks in. So what's the next important idea here? I think the next important idea might have been that the strangler fig wraps, right? It gets into the ground and then it starts to grow around it. And then it starts putting out leaves. Its roots are in the soil, taking water. So it's competing. It's competing with the plant that was already there, because that plant that was already there also wants light. It also wants water. It also wants nutrients from the soil. And now the fig plant is taking away some of that. So the strangler fig wraps around its host and grows. And grows and grows and grows. And it's like a boa constrictor that has something in the middle and it's just kind of squeezing it out. The strangler fig wraps around its host and grows. Okay. And then the final step is the host has to compete or die. And they said a lot of the times the trees die, and you could even say that it's killing the building, right? Because got all these nice tight bricks, and then the strangler fig comes along and it puts a root in there, and it separates. I can't do it. It separates those bricks, and it starts growing and growing and splitting them out. Okay, so the main idea was just strangler figs. The birds spread the seeds start to germinate, grow, sprout. Okay, they grow down to the ground. Kind of weird, right? Strangler fig wraps around its host, and it grows and grows, and then that host now has to be big enough, strong enough, something to make it. And then we could add other details here. We could talk about all of the animals that depend on the strangler figs. We could talk about how at certain times of the year, the strangler figs are the only trees that are putting out fruit. So animals probably really like them during that time of the year, right? It's like if you went to the grocery store and there were only apples, you might eat an apple. Okay. I'm going to go back to the article now. We're going to talk about questions. Okay. So, questions. 10 questions again. Okay. What is an epiphyte? Well, this kind of question is right there. So, go back to your story. Scan, skim. I'm not really rereading completely. Okay, I missed it. I'm looking for the word epiphyte. I found it. Okay, epiphyte. An epiphyte is an air plant that grows on the surface of another plant. Any plant that kills other plants, a plant that can be found in rainforests, a plant that grows well in humid climates, an air plant that grows on the surface of other plants. One of those choices sounded just like the text. Okay. Number 2, the passage describes strangler figs and their role in the rainforest. What is one way strangler figs are good for the rainforest? Strangler figs trunks are actually a tangled web of roots. That is true, but is that good for the rainforest? I think that's just an interesting fact. Strangler figs block their host tree from getting sunlight. True, but is that good for the rainforest? Strangler figs provide food and shelter for many rainforest animals. Is that good for the rainforest? Strangler fig seeds germinate in the top of rainforest canopy. So 3 of these choices were just interesting facts. One of them was something that actually helps other living things in the rainforest. Number 3, the text says, the host tree must compete with the strangler fig for sunlight and nutrients in the soil. Usually this process kills the host and only the fig tree is left. What conclusion can be drawn about strangler figs based on this evidence? So, because they usually kill the host, what does that tell us? Strangler figs are good at competing? It sounds like they usually win. Strangler figs squeeze their host like a python squeezes it. That might be true, but I don't think this sentence tells us that. It kills the host. I don't think that the host dies from squeezing. Okay? The host doesn't have to breathe. That's why a snake can kill its prey by squeezing, because they can't breathe. Trees and buildings aren't like that. Strangler figs host trees need a huge amount of water to survive. I don't think that was in the article. Strangler figs choose weak host trees to grow on. Do they choose, or do the birds just drop seeds? Okay, number 4. Strangler figs do not rely on nutrients directly from the surface they are growing on. What evidence from the text best supports this conclusion? So what it's saying is that if a strangler fig is growing on another tree, it's not actually like sucking nutrients like a vampire from the other tree. It's just It's just using its surface. Okay, usually this process kills the host, and only the fig tree is left. According to historians, the strangler fig played a role in destroying Mayan cities in Central America. Seeds dropped by birds and bats germinated high on the walls of buildings. Once birds eat the figs of an epiphyte, they clean their bills and drop figs on high tree branches. Although these python-like trees may seem menacing, their ability to adapt illustrates how necessary it is for plants to compete successfully in order to survive in the rainforest. So they're asking us to find a connection between this sentence: strangler figs do not rely on nutrients directly from the surface they are growing on. They still get the same soil and light that other plants get. I think I would go with D, because it talks about resources, competing successfully for resources. It's not sucking resources out of the tree that it's on. It's just taking resources that both of them need. Okay, number 5, what is the main idea? Strangler figs played a role in destroying Mayan cities. Well, the article was not mostly about Mayan cities. Strangler figs can be dangerous to other rainforest trees, but they provide food and shelter for rainforest animals. Strangler figs are the most important food source for rainforest birds. Again, it was not about rainforest birds. I picked that on accident. Okay, I'm not saying C is right. Strangler figs are unusual trees that cannot grow on their own. They need support. So this is true, but B is also true. So you got to ask yourself, which one of these two ideas was more important to the article? Number 6, please read the following sentences from the text. The trunk of the fig tree is actually a giant web of roots. These trees are immune from forest clearing by humans because loggers do not like their knotted and twisted wood. As used in these sentences, what does the word immune mean? They are immune from forest clearing. Human loggers do not like their knotted wood, so they don't cut them. The cause of something: twisted around something, destroyed by something, or protected from something. When it comes to logging, are the loggers cutting down fig trees? Gotta think about that one. We hear the word immune a lot lately, right? Talking about COVID, etc. If you're immune to a disease, you're not going to get it. Choose the answer that best completes the sentence below. Strangler figs destroyed some buildings in Mayan cities. Blank, their roots grew between the bricks and stone walls, eventually destroying the walls. So we can just put them in, right? Meanwhile means at the same time. Mayan cities, meanwhile, their roots grew between. Mayan cities, because their roots grew between. Although their roots grew between. Although kind of means like, it's like saying even though. So it's like saying you wouldn't expect this to happen. I would expect the roots to destroy them. That's not a surprise. Instead means, this, not that. I don't think we're talking about this, not that. So make a choice on 7. Okay, number 8, 9, and 10 are writing. How do strangler figs help rainforest animals? You can go back to the passage. It is incredible shelter for a diverse group of animals. Its hollow openings provide protection, and they also produce fruit. So it's a place to live, and it's also food. Okay, strangler, I'm going to reuse part of the question in my answer. Strangler figs help rainforest animals by boopity boopity boop. Okay, you should have a few words there. What do they do? How do strangler figs kill other plants? Okay, so we can go back to the article here. Once the root reaches the ground and enter the soil, they weave together. The host tree must now compete for sunlight and nutrients in the soil. That's how they kill them. How do they kill them? They kill their host by boopity boopity boop. Okay. Number 10, imagine that a scientist discovered a way to get rid of all strangler figs in a rainforest. Is this a good idea or not? Okay, I like this question, and it says support your answer with details from the text. You can pick yes or no. Either one is good, okay? You could say, I think it would be a good idea to get rid of strangler figs because, and then you need a reason. And your reason needs to be in the article. For example, you might say it would help the trees. I think it would be a good idea because you would have more big, tall trees in your rainforest, right? Because strangler figs do kill their hosts a lot of the time. So you could make that argument. You could also, or not both, right? You only answer yes or no. I guess you can do both if you really want to, but the requirement is that you answer one time. You could also say, I think it would be a bad idea to get rid of strangler figs because. Why might it be a bad idea? Well, we talked about how it helps rainforest animals, right? So, because what? Who would be unhappy if all of the strangler figs went away? Well, maybe the animals that use them, right? So you need to support your answer with words from the text. So you need to give me a reason here, like some of the animals would lose where they shelter. Some of the animals would not be able to find as much food. Okay, so there are arguments, there are reasons on both sides. You pick a side and you write about it, and then you hit submit and turn it in. Okay, I'm not going to turn mine in because I didn't answer all my questions, and I'm pretty sure it will tell you that. Make sure you answer all your questions. Okay, back to my face. There we are. Okay, so that was the reading assignment for Tuesday. Strangler figs. I think they're kind of cool, right? It's weird that they start up here and then they grow roots down. What do they live on? I guess they can get by on sunlight and water until they have roots. An interesting article. Okay, so main idea and details. I hope you're doing okay. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with.